Hey, Falcons fans, we've got some exciting news for you, but before we dive into today's wild trade rumor, make sure to hit that like button if you believe we can make it to the Super Bowl this season. Now, let's talk about a shocking trade rumor that could shake up not just Atlanta, but the entire NFL. Reports are buzzing that the Seattle Seahawks might pull off a major trade with the Falcons. But here's the twist. It's not for Michael Penix Jr. Instead, the rumor suggests Seattle is looking at veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins. Yes, you heard that right. But why would the Seahawks make this move? Let's break it down. Last year, there were whispers that Seattle wanted to trade into the top 10 to draft Penix Jr. They later denied it, but if there was any truth to that, it means they weren't fully confident in Geno Smith as their long-term quarterback. Now, as the new season approaches, people are still wondering if the Seahawks want a new QB. That's where this latest trade idea comes in. Marissa Myers from TWSN suggests that Seattle could go after Kirk Cousins, and the reason is simple: his connection with Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. In case you forgot, Kubiak was Cousins' offensive coordinator in Minnesota. When they worked together, the Vikings' offense ranked 12th in total yards, 14th in scoring, and 11th in passing. Clearly, Kubiak knows how to get the best out of Cousins. So, could this trade actually work for Seattle? On paper, maybe, but in reality, it's a tough sell. First, there's the age factor. Kirk Cousins will be 37 before the season starts. If the Seahawks are looking for a long-term quarterback, he's clearly not the answer. Then, let's talk about his performance in 2024. He started strong but completely fell apart toward the end of the season. In his last 5 games, he threw just 1 touchdown but 9 interceptions. That rough stretch got him benched in favor of Michael Penix Jr. Now, the Falcons are moving forward with the rookie as their franchise quarterback. And don't forget about his contract. Last offseason, Cousins signed a huge 4-year, $180 million deal. This year alone, his contract carries a $40 million cap hit, and in 2026 and 2027, that number jumps to a massive $57.5 million. Unless Atlanta agrees to cover a big chunk of that, it's hard to see how Seattle could afford him. But from Atlanta's perspective, trading Cousins could make sense if they believe Penix is ready to take over. Moving on from Cousins would free up a lot of salary cap space, which could help the team strengthen other important positions. But let's be real. Who would actually take on that contract? Seattle? Probably not. Even if the Seahawks think Cousins is a better fit for Kubiak's system than Geno Smith, does it really make sense to trade a younger, cheaper quarterback for an older, expensive one? Not really. If this trade somehow did happen, Seahawks fans would go crazy, and honestly, I wouldn't blame them. Now, Falcons fans, it's your turn. What do you think about this wild trade rumor? Should the Falcons move on from Cousins and fully commit to Penix Jr.? And if so, do you see any team actually taking on that massive contract? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about the upcoming NFL Draft. We're still a couple of months away, and let's be honest, trying to predict what the Falcons will do at pick 15 is like throwing darts blindfolded. But if there's one thing most fans agree on, Atlanta needs to go defense. Seriously, how long have we been begging for an impact edge rusher? But wait, Falcons beat writer Josh Kendall just dropped a major twist. He recently mentioned the possibility of Atlanta drafting an offensive player in the first round. Yeah, I can already hear some of you yelling at the screen, but let's break it down. On the morning shift, host Mike Johnson asked Kendall if drafting an offensive player would send Falcons fans into a frenzy. Kendall's answer: absolutely. But Kendall also made an interesting point. Look at teams like the Philadelphia Eagles. They built their success through the trenches. His argument: if an elite offensive lineman is available at pick 15, it could actually be a smart move for Atlanta. And listen, I get it, Falcons fans. We're tired of feeling like we're just one piece away. We've gone through the same cycle, thinking that an elite quarterback, a superstar tight end, or a dynamic running back would fix everything. But here we are, still looking for that missing link. So, could this be the draft where Atlanta finally focuses on strengthening the offensive line? If the Falcons go this route, they'd likely draft either a right tackle to protect Michael Penix Jr.'s blind side long-term, an interior lineman who could also play center. And guess what? There are some very interesting first-round prospects who fit this mold. Will Campbell, considered the top O-line prospect, but he's a left tackle. Could he switch to the right side? That's a big challenge. Armand Mamoubrier, ranked as the 8th overall prospect. He played right tackle in college and could be a huge upgrade over Caleb McGarry. Josh Simmons, before a knee injury ended his season, he was neck and neck with Campbell as the top tackle. If he's fully healthy, he's a name to watch. Tyler Booker, a dominant All-American guard. Could the Falcons convert him to center? That's a tough decision, but it's definitely an interesting idea. Now, what about the current offensive line? One big factor in all of this is Drew Dalman's free agency. If Atlanta re-signs him, they'll be bringing back the same starting 5 for a third straight season, which is rare stability in the NFL. But if they let Dalman walk, the need for an interior lineman becomes even bigger. And then there's Caleb McGarry. If the Falcons draft a right tackle, does that mean they're moving on from him? If so, they'll have to make some tough decisions about salary cap space and how to build the roster. Look, I get it. Most Falcons fans are probably thinking, we need a pass rusher, not another offensive lineman. And I hear you. But let's not completely ignore this idea. Protecting Michael Penix Jr. is just as important as pressuring opposing quarterbacks. So now, I want to hear from you. Would you be furious if the Falcons drafted an offensive lineman at pick 15? Or do you think building through the trenches is the right call? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk defense. We all know the Falcons improved in 2024, finishing 8-9 in Raheem Morris's first season. But let's be honest, this defense still needs work. Atlanta ranked 23rd in total defense, 22nd against the pass, 15th against the run. Not exactly championship-level numbers. But now, a huge opportunity may have just opened up. According to Ian Rappaport, Bengals linebacker Jermaine Pratt has officially requested a trade. If you don't know much about Jermaine Pratt, let me break it down for you. This guy is a tackling machine. He's been a key playmaker for the Cincinnati Bengals since they drafted him in 2019, and he's put up at least 75 tackles every season. And get this, in 2024, he had 143 tackles, ranking 10th in the NFL. Why this matters for the Falcons. The Falcons could lose Nate Landman in free agency. Troy Anderson is still under contract, but injuries have been a big problem for him. That means Caden Ellis is the only proven inside linebacker heading into 2025. Ellis was an absolute force last season, racking up 151 tackles, the second most in the NFL. Now, imagine pairing him with Pratt. That would give the Falcons a dominant playmaking duo in the middle of the defense. Pratt still has 1 year left on his contract at $7.99 million, which isn't bad at all for a player of his level. The Falcons have cap space, and adding a proven veteran like Pratt could bring the consistency this defense desperately needs. The big question. Of course, it all comes down to what the Bengals want in return. If the Falcons can get him for a reasonable price, this move makes a lot of sense. But now, I want to hear from you. Should Atlanta go after Jermaine Pratt? Would he be the missing piece for this defense? Or should the team look elsewhere? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Falcons news. The offseason is just getting started. Go Falcons!